Hello again YouTube, check me out, 2 videos in one day, cheeky double vlog bonus for a Friday afternoon. But anyway, in the last video I kind of talked about my story in a bit of a nutshell, so I thought it might be useful to talk about the first operation in a bit more depth because I guess in some ways that might be one of the scariest. Now remember, this is only my own experience, so it might be different for other people, but it might give you an idea of what to expect. Yeah, so as I said, I had to come back from uni, just discovered that there weren't any more drugs options available, so we decided to go ahead with the ileostomy surgery. And kind of sort of lucky for me, my condition actually got quite worse quite quickly, so I was admitted as an emergency inpatient, which is lucky in the sense that I just got the operation done. It wasn't kind of hanging over me, it just powered through it. So obviously after getting my condition kind of under control, the first step was to meet my stoma nurse, and honestly they'll be some of the loveliest people you'll ever meet, at least in my experience anyway. There's 2 stoma nurses in my district and they kind of share the work, but my primary nurse, the person that I treated with most of the time, is called Julie. What up, Julie? Probably not watching. And honestly they're just brilliant. They'll sit down and when you meet them for the first time, it's kind of getting to know each other, because you will put a lot of trust in this person over the next few weeks, and it's about getting all your questions out. And honestly there's no such thing as a silly question. They'd much rather you ask everything that's on your mind. Speaking of which, what I found is quite useful the various times that I've been in hospital is to have kind of a little notebook like this size. Just keep it by your bed, and then it's really good for those moments in the middle of the night when you think of a question and you're pretty sure you won't remember when you wake up. And they won't mind if you just sit down with a great big list of questions. They'd rather you get everything off your chest, and it does help set you up for the operation, if you feel like you're in control. Yeah, so you'll sit down, have a chat, ask questions, and what Julie did for me was actually bring some kind of reading material, I guess. It's all lots of information sheets. So if you're not supplied with them, do ask for them because they are there. And they're quite useful to give to friends, family. Like my boyfriend took them home to read, and it's really good, especially for those early stages when you might be getting a bit upset about it all. They might be a bit worried to ask you questions about it, so they don't have to in that way. They can just read all the answers on these sheets. Yeah, so you'll do that, and then after you've had a bit of a chat, you'll talk about where you want your stoma to be sited. And this actually really surprised me. I didn't realise you got a choice about where it was sited. So in my case I had an ileostomy, which is sited on the right hand side of your body. In most cases, I think you can do both, but it's usually on the right. And I'm not sure about left and right, orientation, but you get a say on how high you have it. So say you wear a lot of skinny jeans, you might find it easier to have it a bit higher so the waistband doesn't cut into it and things. And it's also the shape of your body that dictates where it can go as well. So, where the creases in your tummy are will depend where it can go, because it's all about getting a good seal around the bag. So you'll talk about that, and that is a bit of a scary process. I think, for me anyway, that's when it really hit home, like I knew it was definitely happening. So don't put yourself down if you get a bit upset, like it is a scary thing, and you are going to grieve in one sense of the word. So you just got to ride it out, I guess, and just talk about how you're feeling. So you'll do that, and then she'll put a little cross on your tummy where you decide to have it, a bit like a treasure map, I guess. And then when it comes to the operation, the surgeon will site your stoma where that cross is, and you'll probably have a plaster put on it just to stop it washing off or whatever. And I think what I found is, even though I had a really, not necessarily a good time with my stoma nurse, but I was really chuffed with how she looked after me and things. When she'd gone, I think I started worrying about whether that was the right place, because it is such a permanent thing. But all I'll say is just put your trust in it, because Julie got it spot on for me. So you might panic, but it'll be okay. Yeah, so on the operation day, I guess you won't eat, I guess, and all the usual stuff. And I don't really remember coming round that much. But anyway, the operation itself involves quite a large incision. I think mine was about 6 inches down the middle of your tummy. My surgeon actually dodged my tummy button, which was good. So I have still got a tummy button, even if it is a bit off centre. So that's the main incision. So you'll have that down the middle, and then you'll probably have a little drain, which I had on the left hand side, and that's there for about 5 days, just in case there's any leaks or whatever, just to, it's just a safety thing. It's a bit of a weird feeling, but it's not painful at all, so don't worry. And then your stoma is, so you've got your big cut there, and then your stoma's another incision for an ileostomy to the right, and the stoma pokes out there. So the way an end stoma works, which is, for me, was the first type of stoma that I had, is, say this is your stomach, nice and professional again, and then your small intestine goes all wibbly like that, and then the large intestine surrounds it like that, and then goes down towards the exit. The first operation for me was a subtotal colectomy, which involved cutting out that loopy bit, the large intestine, which for me was all the diseased area. And the formation of the end stoma, so that's the small intestine kind of poking out of your tummy. So on the right hand side it will just poke out your stomach wall. And what will probably surprise you, I mean I wasn't expecting it, is when you first see it, obviously it's weird because it's such an alien thing to see on yourself. But at first it will look quite angry because obviously it's not used to being out in the open. But don't panic, I mean it's all normal. And it'll actually shrink over time and just become a bit calmer, I guess. So don't panic, it'll be okay. So that's that. And I think the best advice is just to be patient really, because that big incision, it's cutting through all your core stomach muscles, so for a few weeks at least you're not going to be able to sit up by yourself without a bit of effort. And things like physio will involve making you cough, which it'll hurt, but it's all good, it stops you, you don't want a chest infection on top of everything else. I think in terms of pain relief, obviously you have a PCA, which is the morphine on demand thing, and they measure, you're only on it for a day or two, and they can see how often you're pressing it as opposed to how often you're actually getting it, so that's a way of monitoring the pain. And then once you start eating again, you can start taking tramadol, which is kind of like for me anyway, that's what I had, which is very, very strong pain relief. And then you'll wean off onto paracetamol, blah, blah, blah. So just be patient those few days because it'll be a bit scary and daunting. And your stoma nurse will do the first few changes with you. And you won't be asked to leave hospital until you're happy changing it by yourself, so don't panic. You will get there. It's just a process learning. It's just a skill that you'll pick up surprisingly quickly. It's not difficult at all, it's just a bit different, I guess. And you will feel loads better. Like, it's really strange, even though you've got this massive scar and a lot of pain relief and stuff, I actually felt so much better because all that diseased tissue had been cut out of me, like straight away after the operation. It was quite strange really. So just take it easy, build it up a bit each day, and there'll be that one day where you have, say, a wash by yourself and you just feel epic. So take those little victories, and it's worth celebrating, definitely. It's a scary thing. And another important thing I think is to name your stoma. So I think I mentioned before mine's called Gloria, just because that was the woman opposite me when I was having the surgery. So, and she was a bit of a legend, so I immortalised her. Maybe not how she wanted, but it's my tribute to her. And like I say, you'll learn coping strategies and techniques, and that's kind of what this is about as well. So if there's people about to go into this with any questions, just let me know, and even if you don't want me to do videos, I'll get in touch and things. So good luck if that's your next op. I think I'll do another video another time about the second op and the third, and then J-pouch stuff, blah blah blah. If you've got any requests, I guess, then let me know. Remember, I'm far too open. So there we go. So I'll see you in a bit.